According to the World Resources Institute's Aqueduct Water Risk Atlas, a quarter of the world's population faces an extremely high water stress each year. An additional 1 billion people are expected to be affected by the year 2050. Extremely high water stress means countries use almost all of their water. Well, retired Captain Moses A. West is founder of the Moses West Foundation. He developed technology that pulls water from the atmosphere. Moses joins me from Chicago to explain atmospheric water generation. Moses, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. You look like, hey, you got a perfect setting. We're talking about water, you in front, some water. Tell me a little bit about this creation that really has just some stunning attributes to it, because people, don't realize, if we remember back, water comes in 3 forms, right? Liquid, solid, gas, and you are taking that and you are actually creating water. How exactly are you doing that?
Thank you for having me on the show to start with. Yeah, and also, I also like walking and talking, so this is really good for me. I just finished doing a radio show. Hey, the water in its gaseous state that we have it in the atmosphere, it's the most plentiful state. Like here I am right now next to this waterfall in Chicago, this fountain, and Lake Michigan. The air is very humid. It's going to be 109, 110 degrees tomorrow at O'Hare and Midway airports. So that's going to mean that there's a lot of water that's going to be in the atmosphere. And so what I've done is I've created a technology that allows you to pull that moisture, to condense that moisture out of the air the same way that you take a glass in the middle of the summertime and you put that cold glass, that cold bottle of Coke on the table. You've all done it. And that bottle of Coke just continues to sweat, right?
Yes.
Well, with that picture that you see of the machine right there pushing that water out, that machine does that using mechanical techniques that I've created over the years to efficiently pull that moisture out of the air with a lower energy consumption than you can use than is needed to pull it out of the ground. So basically, that box that you see in that picture, you can sit it right here, and everybody in this park in Chicago could drink from that water for the next forever.
Now, this box that we are looking at, it's solar powered, I would imagine?
Absolutely. It's solar powered, but also what I did was the big box that you see, I put on there a generator. So it's got its own internal generator in case you don't have solar power. So basically, you could take that box anywhere. You could drop it where you need it in the world. Then you could turn it on and you could produce water. And we've already done that. We did it in Flint, Michigan, and we did it on the island of A.W.G in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. That box that you see, go on?
Yes, the box that we see.
Yeah, that box is supplied the 4th Ward in Flint, Michigan. I built 2 of those. One supplied the 4th Ward with all their drinking water. We allowed people who were homeless, who couldn't clean their houses, to move back to their homes because we could give them 100, 200, 300 gallons of water a day that they needed, and then the machine would make water again. And then on the island of Yankees, we ran it on solar power, and we produced enough water for 15,000 people to drink without the need of FEMA having to ship water into the Yankees. And we did that on solar power.
And that's very important. You talked about FEMA, and when we talk about the federal government getting involved, you are really providing a huge resource, not just to places that have been struck by some type of act of nature, but when we talk about Native Americans and their inability to have access to water, there are people who have never really drunk their water from their faucets. They have lived for decades on bottled water. You are coming into places like that, and you are making water accessible. And I think it's something that people take for granted, the water that we drink all day or the half a bottles of waters that we throw away. People around the world do not have it. Talk to me about what you did in Puerto Rico, for example, that allowed the community to just do better and be better because of the machine that you created.
Well, in Puerto Rico, when I got to Puerto Rico, their water system was already contaminated. the water that's on the island. They have to chlorinate it truly heavily to get it to be drinkable. I met some people, just a couple stories. I met a guy who was drinking water from a pipe that ran underneath the cemetery. He was so desperate,
Wow.
he drank the water on the other side. He got some kind of an intestinal problem, gastrointestinal problem. They had to cut him open to just to let it fester out of his body. I met Taino Indians, Native Americans, that were bleeding from their eyes, from their gums, swollen stomachs. And when we started to produce the water on the island, I had to explain to everybody that this water was already there because it was in the moisture and the humidity in the air that was around them. And so in Puerto Rico, we set the machine up, and basically liquid, solid, and gases, only three ways the water comes, and we produce water for the entire island after Hurricane Maria. So the people there accepted the technology, but I had to explain to them where it was coming from because nobody believed me that it was pulling out of the air.
Right, right. And you know, it's a concept that I think people understand. Listen, I know as a black woman, we understand that there is moisture in the air and we protect our hairstyles. And trust me, we get that. We know when that moisture, you go down to New Orleans, you have a different hair plan than you do when you're maybe up in New Jersey or Miami. But the bottom line is that you are correct. It affects and you can pull water from the air. How much water does this machine process, let's say, over a day or over an hour? How do you break down the gallons that it processes and how fast?
1,250 gallons of water a day. That's 5,000 liters.
Wow. Wow.
And as long as I'm pulling the water out of the air and people are taking it, the machine continues to fill up as you empty it. If I pull out 200 gallons of water, you sit there long enough, it'll make that 200 gallons back. So when you're removing water, it's continuously refilling the machine.
Along this
endless supply.
Yes, yes. Along this process, you are also eliminating food deserts. Tell me how you're doing that.
Well, say like here in a place like this in Chicago. Say you have this tree line over here. Okay, that tree line over there. Say if you're not producing any water here, we have all the water in the air. Well, if I pull the water out of the air using sunlight to produce the water, then that pure water is used to grow food. That is 100% sustainable. So you're pulling the water from the air using solar power to grow food. If you built that closed off over there, all you'd have to do is come back and just pick up the food. It's that simple.
Wow.
Greenhouse, water generator, solar panels, food. You don't even have to touch it. Just put little cameras in there and let all the kids around the United States see the plants grow.
And this water that's generated, does it have to be processed in any way once it's gathered, or you take it as is in terms of just what is the process that it goes through in order to make it usable, if there is one?
Oh, when the machine is when I deploy a machine and it's fresh, it's brand new, it's clean, all the filters are clean, I can drain the water directly off the coil. But going by federal guidelines, as you can see, everything is green. Everything is green because I make equipment for the military. So the military has the technology in use. So it goes just through basic carbon filtration. And then you can control the pH of the water by how much carbon filtration you add or subtract. You can add ozone emitters, ozone transmitters to the water system. You can add chlorinators. You can tailor the water to what you would like to have it. Because what you're doing is you're taking water from its purest source as you make it. So you can do with it what you want.
You know, I think we really have to acknowledge just the fact that you came up with this. What is your background, and when did this come to you that this was something that you should take on, and then how did you actually carry out this idea from beginning to what we're seeing on the screen right now?
Well, it started out as a kid growing up in Texas. We called it the land of 1,000 springs. So when I was a little kid, we could actually drink water as it came out of the ground. We could jump into creeks and we could swim. We could go fishing. So that's what I grew up with. And then in the military, I was stationed in places where we wouldn't get supplied with water sometimes. And then once in Saudi Arabia, it was so hot that I was like, if we don't get a water supply, I'm going to jump in this helicopter and I'm going to fly someplace where there is some water because we're not going to survive. It's 150 degrees.
Wow.
And then I lived in Australia for 11 years. In Australia, they have a thing called toilet to tap. I got back one year to, I was always coming back and forth to the States. And then I got to Australia one time and we were drinking water from the, that just had filtered and turned around from the toilet back to the tap. And then I saw what the drought had done to the country. I saw acres and acres of dead trees because the salt water had creeped back into the ground from the ocean because they pulled up so much fresh water. And seeing all these things, all these different situations around the world with the degradation of pure water, the degradation of our groundwater, and knowing that the atmosphere was full of water because we're always living in this humidity, I decided that, I saw this little machine in Hawaii, and I said, if someone can make a little machine, I could definitely make a big one.
And that you did. I want to go to our panel. I'm sure that they're as intrigued as I am. Let me start with you, Randy. What question do you have for really this professor of water, if you will?
I just first have to express how much in awe I am of you, Mr. West. This is incredible what you've created. I'm thinking that my grandchildren will be reading about you in science class when we talk about inventors one day. So thank you for your contribution to this entire world. So how do you connect with communities? This water shortage is already evidencing itself in many areas. You mentioned Flint, Michigan. I think about what recently just happened in Jackson, Mississippi. How do communities get in touch with you to have this solution available to them?
Well, when I first started out doing this, as anything in the United States, when you have a really good idea, people are sometimes here in this country are going to try to take what you have. And I've went through that. But what I've always tried to do is I've always tried to connect with just making sure that the average man and woman on the street understands what this technology is and how it works. And so that groundswell of grassroots connections that I've made over the past 10 years is risen up and gotten to the highest levels to get you to NBC, ABC, and CBS, and CNN and the Washington Post just by doing humanitarian work. So mainly that's how, and through my foundation, the Moses West Foundation, donations came through there, got me to Puerto Rico, got me to Flint, got me to Jackson, Mississippi, and helps me to educate people about this technology.
Dr. Brown, question for Moses.
Yeah, Moses, I want to say how incredible this is. I think that, your name is Moses like the Bible, but it's more like a modern day Noah as an engineer, except for instead of an ark, you built a machine that creates water out of thin air. I think that's incredible. I mean, my question is, when is your next invention going to turn that water into wine?
You can already do that. You can already make alcohol with it.
Nice.
He's a step ahead of you.
There you go. Well, all jokes aside, I think that you and your generator are important for Black people specifically because of the positive impact that you've had in your technology. Looking at places that you affected like Flint and like Jackson, Mississippi, this is huge. My question is, I'm sure when you first started to create this, right, seeing the small version and having the creativity and sort of the imagination to make a large version of this type of technology, I'm sure you had some people that were very skeptical. Can you talk about some of that skepticism that people might have had in the process?
I've had some PhDs come up to me and say, hey, if you run this machine, it's going to change the entire environment of the world. Oh, my goodness. There's no way you can take all the humidity off of Lake Michigan, off of the Pacific Ocean, making trillions of gallons of water, considering from the surface at 10,000 feet, it is nothing. That's called the troposphere. And it's nothing but a water superhighway. And
this is why I switched to Shopify. Shopify made it really easy for me to shift everything over and hit the ground running. I was easily able to migrate my products, all of my customer information over. We would not be able to go on the road without a platform that we can rely on. Start your free trial with Shopify today.
The hotter the planet gets, what happens? The more water evaporates. And water, guess what? H2O is a greenhouse gas. So the hotter the planet gets, the more water that's in the atmosphere, the better these machines work. So that's one of the blowback.
Right. So, but anyway, like I said before, as the video continues, the brother Moses West, he said that he was going to make a couple of machines to put on Maui to help the people with the water, even though the people in Maui, as far as them being Japites, are adamant about racial slurs towards so-called black individuals. So I'm sure when he gets out there, or if he's not out there already, creating this machine for the benefit of these people, he'll hear about that, I'm sure. But anyways, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on another Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Judah that here in the lands of drawing water, okay, where we practice the righteous acts, which are to keep the Most High Yahweh's commandments. Okay, is this not a righteous act of mercy? Is he not drawing water in the land of his captivity? You see what I'm saying? So, I just thought that when I seen that the land of drawing water, Judges chapter 5 verse 11 came to mind, and how he's practicing, helping our people. You know what I'm saying? Charity. Okay, because Yahweh Shah Hamashiach said that above all things, have charity amongst the people to help the poor and the needy, which are predominantly Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the services of the Most High God and the promises. So, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get off this video. I just thought that would be interesting to see another Hebrew Israelite superhero create something for the benefit of mankind that's completely sustainable, completely can run off energy that the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, created. Okay? For the planet. The man can use this, I don't know what he's doing. It's an atmospheric water generator. I put a video up on one of my other channels that the Edomite devils took down concerning this video, concerning this individual and this information about Flint, Michigan, helping the people out up there. So I'm kind of glad I got an opportunity to make another video. I hope it brought some edification, just a little bit of what our people are capable of without drugs, without alcohol, without the influence of an Edomite devil. Shalom.